Here we go. Boom. There we
Snitch?
go. Huh?
I said that thing was snitching.
All the time, man. You know the ops is watching. But appreciate y'all tuning in to Black Fridays this week. Very special guest in the building. Got my brother Martin Weiss in here with me. He'll go into his story in a little bit. But make sure in the comments on the video, go ahead and show him some love. Say what up, though, to Martin. Make sure that you greet my guest and give him his flowers. But enough of me talking. Y'all know who I am. Y'all know what this is, Black Fridays. Want to make sure that we spotlight excellent Black talent, excellent Black business across the globe, everywhere. So I definitely wanted to make sure that I tapped in with my good brother Martin here. So Martin, if you don't mind going ahead and introducing yourself, telling the people who you are personally, and then also tell us what you do professionally. How do you pay the bills?
Martin Weiss. I was born in New Orleans, Louisiana, and I've lived pretty much in every corner of the country so far, except for the Northeast. But I'm good. They're gonna have to pay me a whole lot of money to move back to the snow. I'm in LA now, and my main job is producing Undisputed with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp. And I also am a co-host on the Extra Points Podcast Network, which was started by Cousin Sal at the start of this football season. And get my master's at USC. I think that's about it.
And what's the master's degree in?
Specialized journalism. We'll see how special it is after I get the degree.
Hey man, shout out to the dual degrees, man. I just got out the NBA struggle, the NBA grind. So hey man, I support it. More degrees, more power, more blessings.
I'm trying to add initials, that's all.
I feel you. Can you go ahead? So you work for two pretty cool or you have multiple jobs that's pretty cool that's involved in sports and media. Can you kind of like walk me through your journey of how you got to where you are now? And for those watching, me and Martin go way back, went to University of Michigan together. So I remember when he was in the grind, in the comm program, when he was doing this thing and, just getting started in sports and media. So could you kind of, take us from that standpoint and how you was able to, get yourself on the come up?
But, ironically, I didn't graduate in comm.
Really?
I actually never got into the comm program.
Bro, so all this time I thought you was in the comm program.
Nah, man. So what was it? You had to declare your major at the end of your sophomore year, right?
Yeah.
So in the second semester of my sophomore year, I never got good grades in Michigan. In comparison to other people, I graduated from Michigan, but I never I wasn't an A student or anything like that. I pledged my freshman year, and that pretty much informed my undergrad experience.
Gotcha.
But midway through sophomore year, they switched the requirements from the comm school because my freshman year, the comm school was full of football players.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so I'm like, cool. Then they switched the requirements. You had that a 3.0 cumulative GPA. Man, so I went to Dr. Fontenot, CSP legend. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, bro, how am I gonna graduate? What are we gonna do here? And so sociology is what I like to call the path of least resistance. It was the way for me to get out. So I graduated with a degree in sociology, which I don't, I suppose it gets used. It gets used more for my football fandom than anything else.
Could you kind of break? So you say it get used for your football fandom. What do you mean by that?
Well, the thing that's invaluable about going to a school like Michigan is I'm built into the Big Ten.
Fact.
It's not exactly what I'm doing one-to-one now, but honestly, I didn't have any. I'm not from Michigan. I only spent 2 years in Michigan before I went to Michigan. I only spent 2 years in the state of Michigan before I went to the University of Michigan. To me, Michigan football wasn't a big deal to me. Like I grew up in SEC. Like, I grew up where they win championships. You know, like So that's kind of where my football fandom came from. But the Michigan has a level of reverence nationally that some places just don't.
Mm-hmm.
And it wouldn't have been the same had I gone to Michigan State. It just wouldn't have been because of the brand.
Facts. We everywhere, man. That's one thing that I had to notice in my travels and my journeys. You throwing that Michigan, and anybody bound to tell you go blue or whatever, whether they went there or not.
I wasn't trying to even take a shot at Michigan State. Like I forgot this is probably going to be a mostly Michigan centric audience. Like that goes the same for like Purdue or like Illinois. It's like it's just not the same reach as like to me the schools in the Big Ten that have it are Michigan and Ohio State.
So true.
I can't go anywhere without seeing somebody from Ohio State.
100%. And all right, so you graduated from Michigan, sociology degree, and then how did you start your journey into media? Like, what was your first like media gig?
My first job was it was an internship first. My story is like, I won't say it's complicated. I just was in the right place at the right time, but I saved a lot of phone numbers. But all right, so in order to understand, like, so you can relate to this. Your junior year in college, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm sure you had, like, junior year in college is kind of like the separator year, right? It's like you see your friends going off to doing big things. I'll never forget this. My boy signed a deal at Microsoft, and he was like, "Yo, I just signed a 6-figure deal at Microsoft." And I was like, wait a minute. You mean you? Right here on the couch that's been sitting there with me? You about to be making 6 figures? So I got like, I don't know the best term for it. Like maybe that's not actually like keeping up with the Joneses or anything like that. But it was the idea that like, I'm going to lose my friends if I can't keep up, right? Like it's not like they're not going to be friends with me or anything like that, but it was just like I'm not gonna be able to afford to do the things that they want to do, right?
Right.
And so I'm sitting there thinking, man, I wasted all this time in school, but that shows you where my priorities were. It was like the idea of like I'm not gonna be able, not like what am I gonna do for a living? You know what I'm saying? It was like my thought was how am I gonna make money, not like what do I like. And those two thoughts to me, especially as a non-native Detroiter, but somebody who spent a lot of time there, are two very different thoughts, right? Like what I want to do with my life versus how am I going to make some money today are can be two very different thoughts, right? And so I remember, I'll never forget this shit. I called my dad and I was scared, man. I was like crying, bro. I'm like, dude, all of my friends are getting jobs and I am not even like, I have another half semester to go to graduate. And even then, like, I'm realistic, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not happening for me in this way that it's happening for them. And he told me some advice, and he said, man, try to find something that you do for free and see if you can get paid to do it. And it was the same summer. That summer was the draft of Russell Wilson, RG3, and Andrew Luck.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember it like it was yesterday because these are the type of things that are important to me. But at the time, it was all Andrew Luck, RG3, who's the number one pick. And I'm telling anybody that will listen that Russell Wilson is by far the best quarterback coming out of this class and that he is easily going to be a 10-year starter as long as he goes to the right situation.
That was what, 2013, 2014?
Nah, it had to be I want to say it was 2011, 2012.
Okay. Yeah, you're right, because a couple years later, he was in the Super Bowl. So, yeah, you're right.
I want to say it was 2011, 2012, because a year and a half later, they had the Fail Mary but I'm getting ahead of myself. But so, okay, so I had that, and then I had another take between the guy that we both know. Oh no, Jared. What's Jared's name? Xander.
Yeah.
He says change his name to Xander. But me and Xander were both at this internship at in Maryland, and we lived together. And me and him got into a knockdown, not real argument, but like one of those passionate sports debates about Jimmer Fredette. And I told him that Jimmer Fredette would not last 2 seasons in the NBA. It's like he's going to be a lottery pick, and he's going to be out of the league before he plays 160 games. And I don't know what it is right now, NBA games played, but at the time, he got out of the league at 147. Like he was released at 147. And I was like, okay, I know what I'm talking about. And I'm just watching TV. So that like informed me to then when my dad said, find out something that you like to do for fun and see if you can get paid at it. And then I'm sitting up ironically watching guys like Skip Bayless, you know, and disagreeing with them and then watching me be right. Right. And agreeing with them. I mean, the thing that you don't realize when you're watching shows like that is you only really poke on the things that you disagree with. So like Skip Bayless says a million things that I do agree with. It's just the ones that I disagree with are the ones I feel the necessary need to respond to, or at that time felt the need to respond to, or in that way, right? Because I don't care what Skip got to say now. Man can say whatever he wants. But so that gave me like the confidence to like kind of branch out. And then, ironically enough, Rochelle Riley from the Detroit Free Press had interviewed me in high school. Get this. This is going to sound so crazy 20 years from now. But Rochelle Riley interviewed me in my junior year of high school to talk to me about what it would be like to vote for the first Black president.
Wow.
In my first election. Right?
Yeah.
So we became friends on Facebook, and this is like Facebook Messenger. Now, remember, this is not like 2021, right? Like, so this is all, you can still reach someone on Facebook Messenger.
But you had to write on their wall.
Yeah. So the day after I got the phone with my dad, I write Rochelle, because she had been like, yo, anything you ever need, let me know. Hey, I need a plug. I want to work in sports. I don't really know where, but at sports commentary, I don't know how, but help, essentially. So then she introduced me to Terry Foster, who worked at 97.1 The Ticket at the time. They got me an interview, and that just taught me the importance of knowing people, because I had no radio experience. The sporting experience I had at that point was I watched sports. That was it. And like, I did have like an obsessive knowledge about it. Like when I remember thinking like, and I prepared for it like it was, I mean, it is a job, you know? So I prepared for the interview like it was a job. So he's like asking me like, you know, about the line, like where do the Lions rank in total offense? And it just happened to be third. And I remember, and he was just like I don't say he didn't want to give me the job, but he wanted to find a reason why I wouldn't be qualified for it. And I told that man, because I had a job on campus fixing printers at going around filling the printers with paper.
Yep.
And in the summertime, all those jobs got filled up. And another one was that you could go and like design a Wi-Fi network, which sounds incredibly complicated. But anybody with any knowledge of this, at least in 2013, all you had to do was walk around with a computer and just mark off. But I went and told him in the interview, I'm like, yo, I went from fixing printers to designing Wi-Fi networks in 3 weeks. If I can't figure this out, hire the next guy. Give me a week, hire the next guy. So they ended up hiring me for the internship. And the whole time they're like, we don't hire interns. I was like, that's cool, because y'all gonna hire me. You know, like when I tell you I had no other plan. Like I would have likely been, and I this is not meaning to disparage nobody who does it, but I would have been working at Quicken Loans, like as the premier hire in Detroit with no plan. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I would have been working at Quicken Loans, and I personally would have been miserable because I'm not good at doing things I don't like to do.
Right.
But yeah, so one thing led to another. Got that internship. I was on the Carson Anderson show. And I met Jeff Rieger and Dan Leach one day, the Super Bowl Sunday, actually, or Super Bowl week. So actually this week, my radio show had gone to New Orleans for the Super Bowl, it was a hardball. It was Kaepernick. It was Kaepernick and the Ravens. So it was they had gone to the Super Bowl, and I was still back at the station. They told me I had to come that day. I'm like, y'all got me messed up. I'm coming every day. You know what I'm saying? Like every day. Job. Like what? I'm coming every day. So I'm in there and I'm talking to these backup hosts, Rieger and Leach, and I get in good with them. And so what I was doing was I was going and getting like radio technical experience in terms of like running the board, answering the phones on their shift from like midnight to 3 a.m., going home, taking a nap, coming back from like 8:30 to 2 o'clock to work the shift I actually was supposed to for this internship. And weirdly enough, the one thing I had to do at Michigan was I had to go to Ann Arbor on Wednesdays and facilitate a creative writing class in the Washtenaw County Jail.
Super random.
It was the only class that met at 5:30. Like they met after, so there would be not like by 5:30, they're into the pregame shows for whatever game is on that night. And at that point in time, 97.1 Ticket had all the games. Mm-hmm. So I had to be in college to have an internship. I had already completed all my credits. So this was a 1 credit class. And honestly, that was incredibly informative and probably one of the best experiences I had in college, weirdly enough. But yeah. So I've been inside the Washtenaw County Jail at least 17 times.
That's, once again, super random, but dope as hell.
They let me out every time, though.
Good.
Within like hours. And like, I knew that. Yeah. But I'll tell you, it was it's interesting, man. People don't realize or think about it unless you ever got in some trouble, but normal people are in jail. Very normal people are in jail.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
The line between freedom and jail is very thin.
For sure. Now, let me ask you this. So can you break down, so you had mentioned earlier the 2 positions that you have currently. So can you kind of break down like what's the day in the life like with those 2?
Well, every day kind of changes. Right now it's a little hectic because I'm in school. Mm-hmm. Like right now it's like, this is the busy time for work because it's Super Bowl. So like everybody, like I was just talking to my buddy, Alex, and who works at CNN after the election. And he was just like, man, I was like, congratulations, you just had a Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
That's what it is. This is the Super Bowl and the NBA Finals are the busiest times for us. Pre-COVID is much more interesting. So what we would do then is I get up about 3:30, roll into work about 4. Skip would get to work at 4:07 a.m. every morning. Would walk into the meeting. If Skip didn't get there by 4:09, call the police. So, because something happened, something's wrong. So you get there, we run the meeting, decide what topics we're going to do that day, where we're going to go. And then my main job would be to then gather and assign assignments for the corresponding video to go along with the topics. Mm-hmm. So like, say LeBron, Lakers play tonight. I don't know. Kawhi plays tonight. I know that much. It's like they have a great game, whatever. Skip wants to talk about it tomorrow, right? It would be my job to go in and get the different Kawhi plays and to make sure that they match up for while he's talking. And then also to manage the rest of the people who are getting the other video for the rest of the show. Then after I do that, if we had a more high profile guest on, I would get the opportunity to go and introduce them to Fox, and then like kind of walk them through, hey, because I mean, it's live TV is something else, bro. So it's you got to be ready for it. And people think they're all good with it until you get there and you get the makeup on, and or like just little stuff like trying to convince guys like, hey man, you probably want to get touched up. Like you probably like people be like, I don't want any makeup. No, man, look,
yeah, you might need it.
And it's funny too. I'm not like arguing with guys, but like I'm talking to guys who are almost always bigger, stronger, faster than me, first of all. But like exorbitantly more wealthy than I am, right? And I'm just like, so it's a very give and take of I have to kind of tell these people what to do and where to be, but I can't be too like, you know, I'm not about to tell Lil Wayne, come on, man. You know what I mean? Like I'm not like I can't do that.
Right.
So, so I would do that. Then I'd go home, take a nap, and then we would have to go and gather topics for the show, you know, just and send out an email list, you know, of topics. And that was pretty much my responsibility for Undisputed. For Extra Points, I actually am going to be starting to host an NBA podcast after the Super Bowl, but mainly I produce a fantasy football podcast called Waiver Wire with Jerry Ferrara and Jen Piacenti. And Jerry Ferrara is the guy he was a lawyer in what's the name of that show with Ghost?
Oh, Power. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a lawyer. Yeah, Turtle. Exactly. Yeah, Turtle. So Turtle and I are cool. And I produce a football podcast with Rob Parker and TJ Houshmandzadeh called the Lemon Pepper Parlay Podcast.
That's a hell of a name.
I came up with it.
Goat.
They bet wings all the time.
Is that part of the podcast? You got to have lemon pepper joints?
Well, I mean, it's, we'll have a lemon pepper parlay of the week, right?
Okay.
It's like, if I was making my lemon pepper parlay of the week this week with the Super Bowl, I'd pick probably, I think you're probably a safe bet, Kelsey anytime touchdown and Mahomes and Kansas City -3. That should pay out pretty nice.
Okay. So you got one of my later questions out the way. I definitely had to get a Super Bowl take from you. So appreciate that. So let's see. So, all right. So you wear a couple of different hats and you talked about your journey through media. If you had to pick something thus far, like that you worked on, been a part of, whatever the case may be, what would you say is probably like the most enjoyable part about what you do?
I don't know if it's. I generally enjoy most of it, right? I'm not one of those people that sometimes the alarm clock gets a little rude, but like I'm not one of those people who like dreads going to work or anything like that. I think there's really two things that come to mind when you first say that. I've done both live and taped productions, and I find live productions to be much more rewarding because so much can go wrong. And so with that, there's so many opportunities to get everything right. You know what I'm saying? Like there's so many opportunities to really nail. Like I don't feel like you can really nail a taped show. Because like you should have a standard of excellence that, of course, it should be perfect. It's edited. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I really enjoy doing live things. And I'd say the other thing that I don't know the best word to use, but I think that my show is important in a way that is still fun because like when things happen in the world, I know that we're going to talk about it from the sports angle. And that's one of the things that I find is unique about sports and nowhere else is that it allows you to talk about these things. Because here's like, if you talk about politics, right? Like the difference between sports and everything else is we all agree on what happened, right? Like the conversation between like you may think that LeBron is the GOAT, I may think that Jordan is the GOAT. I personally don't care. But whoever you want to decide, that's one thing. But we all agree that Michael Jordan was 6 for 6 in the NBA Finals. When you get into like some of these other political arguments, some of these other like what people like to coin social justice discussions and so on and so forth. We're getting into like, it's almost like, well, I say Jordan had 8 championships and you said Jordan had none, and neither one of these things are true, right? And we're still trying to figure out what we're talking about here. But I find that, and maybe this is just maybe this is a lack of self-awareness and think I'm a little more self-inflated than things. But because in sports debates so often, the end result is not what's being debated, right? We're not debating the end result. I think it allows for a nuance in racial and in gender equality and in other conversations that is not happening because there's no end. There's no end to the game. There's no end result. There's no tomorrow. It's all just one cycle of like what happened to next day. What's the next day? What's the next day? I don't know. Something I've been thinking about. But like knowing that if the Milwaukee Bucks don't play at noon, and that's going to be the headline of the A block, so to speak, of my show the next day. And I'm working for people who have nuanced takes on these things that I feel like aren't damaging towards the people who are trying to advance themselves. Right? Like I wouldn't be able to work for somebody. I don't think I could produce somebody who disagreed with Colin Kaepernick.
Facts. And that's dope, the way that you kind of think about it, because like you said, no matter what happened in society, you have the opportunity to take it and talk about it from a sports standpoint. And that's one reason why I enjoy and love sports so much, because it's so many things outside of, if you break it down to the simplest thing, it's a game with an objective, a goal, and rules. However, there are so many things that can be taught, just life lessons, how to be, how to care about your fellow person or teammate, it's so many things that brings us, like sports is one of those things. We don't have many of them. No matter what you look like, no matter where you come from, no matter what you do, you come together for a common goal. And even though you may work for like an organization or whatever case may be, everybody's not always like on the same team, or there's hidden agendas or certain things that's done. But it's like, can you ball? Can you help us get to the end result? Can we come together and get this done? And then the crowd, the people that surrounds it, it's people that I probably disagree with when it comes to how they view life in general in Muskegon, Michigan, but we both rooting for the Lions every Sunday. So, it's things like that. That's the beauty behind sports. So that was one thing that kind of came to mind when you had.
One thing I wonder though. I wonder if it's a beauty. Like I've thought about that more and more and more, right? Because I would have agreed with you saying that I've now kind of backed off. I think it's just a thing that is. I don't know if it's a good thing.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's a good thing that the people in Texas can be arguing vehemently politically and then sit down on Saturday and root for the same high school football team.
Right.
And like join arms.
Yeah.
I don't know if that is necessarily a good thing. And that's not necessarily to promote divisiveness or to promote a split in our country. But I feel like the ability to sit there on Saturday probably covers up a lot of shit that happens Monday through Friday.
I couldn't have said it better than myself. You definitely hit the nail on the head. Perfect example. Went to the first Under the Lights game at Michigan Stadium, and then we scored that touchdown, Denard to Roundtree, and then like literally with seconds left on the clock. So basically, we win in this game. Guy in the stadium turns around. I don't know this man from can of paint. Literally turned around, hugged me, and picked me up like in Michigan Stadium. And he was a white guy. I don't think that never happens on State Street in the Union, anywhere else, like on campus. After class, none of that. Like he don't act like he don't know me or he don't see me. Chances are, I know you already know, like just being on that campus. But yeah, I agree with you from that standpoint, and I think that this past year has like unearthed a lot of that ugly truth. But I think that if anything, and a lot of what you all are doing, it provides that intersection of those people who have those two different thought process, or people who, you know, watch sports and have those different thought processes, to be able to, now we're in the same space, can we articulate ourselves and openly talk about these things, or at least, you know, come from a different standpoint and be able to understand the other person. And I think sports kind of provides that middle ground, so to speak, to like at least open that discussion.
It gives people something to have in common, and it gives you a way to start a conversation.
Right.
But
right.
I think that maybe this is self-sacrificing as a sports journalist, but I think that we put a little bit too much importance on sports bringing people together. Because I don't, especially over the last like 5-6 years, maybe just working on the national stage, it's like, it definitely like brings awareness, and it definitely like what tangible impact did Colin Kaepernick have? Like, that's not to disparage him. That's not just, I think he's one of the bravest people out there. Like, but like, to sacrifice your career to do something like that is something that I wasn't necessarily willing to do, right? And had to know that was a reality. Like, you know what I'm saying? Had to know that was, but like, George Floyd was killed, what, 4 years later?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's just the same thing. It was the same thing that he was talking about then.
Right.
Like, I'm not trying to make it seem like it's not important, or that it's not a good thing that it's happening. I just wonder, like, we just put so much importance on the impact that these powerful statements had, you know, and I just wonder what's the real world result of that. And that's something that, like, as a journalist, I feel like I want to like today, you know, or the other day, Shannon was talking on TV about Tom Brady's MAGA hat. 4 years later, like, who else was talking about that? Nancy Armour wrote about it in USA Today, but that's the type of thing I'm talking about. It's like, just like that was a statement that was made 4 years ago, and like people just kind of let it go into
right.
it was a powerful statement then.
Right.
The same way that Kaepernick statement, just let it go. It's just different statements and different, you know, different reception, especially at that point in time.
Big facts, and it's dope to hear your perspective on this. Somebody who's a part of that universe, that sports journalist universe, and yeah, you definitely opened my eyes to some things, made me think about it a little bit differently. So definitely appreciate you sharing that. So we went deep a little bit, but this is my favorite part of the show, Freestyle Friday. So what I need from you is, I'm about to put on this Clips grinding beat. I need you to go for what you know. I need at least 16 from you.
Oh, Lord have mercy. You gotta be kidding me.
Yeah, I'm messing with you. It's not.
I haven't stayed on beat since what? 96.
So Freestyle Friday is actually, it's just a series of questions that I ask you. They're all random. You can't get them wrong because they all about you and what you think. And you know, I only got 2 rules. You answer every question and you answer them honestly, and that's it. So if you agree to that, you know, we can get going.
All right, let's go.
All right, my man. So tell me, what's the most random job you ever had?
Door-to-door salesman.
What were you selling?
Books with Xander in Maryland. Selling educational books, everything from high school to pre-K. I could teach a kid to read or take the SAT.
I see you still got that sales pitch in you, don't you?
That was terrible. That's why that was the job that taught me. I said, I can't do nothing I'm not good at. And I was like, I was good enough, you know, and I was like, this ain't gonna be it. I'm gonna be miserable. I'm gonna be miserable. I'm making $65,000 a year. I'm gonna be miserable. I gotta get that out of here.
Oh my God. All right. So who has been, you know, even before you started working at Fox Sports and all that, you was a celebrity in Ann Arbor and whatnot. So can you tell me who is your favorite celebrity that you've met thus far?
All right. So you say celebrity, I think of actual like media celebrities, not athletes.
Well, give me both. Tell me like a media celebrity, and then give me your favorite athlete that you met so far.
My favorite celebrity that I've met. See, part of the reason why they give me that job is because I don't get too high, or I don't get too like, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'll say, okay, favorite celebrity moment. How about this? Perfect. Favorite celebrity moment. It's the third time I met Lil Wayne. Sounded like Dave Chappelle. The first time I met OJ. But the third time that I met Lil Wayne first time, and like, you know, because you go through the whole thing, you tell you, hey, this is what it's gonna be like. I'm gonna ask you about this, that, the third. And Wayne and Skip are like really good friends.
Yeah.
And go back, like that's not an act. They text each other, like they are. Last year he stayed at Wayne house.
Okay.
Just small. Who knows? But it's real. It's not made up.
Okay.
So he come on the show regularly. So I met him the first time. I told him a story. My mom didn't like one song that he made, and he told me his story back, and it was just like, oh, like this. If I had never had another interaction, it was like, check that one off the kid list. You know what I'm saying? Like, so meet him again, kind of go through the same thing, and like I'm introducing myself. You know, like I'm not. Why he don't know me? He knows me. At best, he knows me as Guy from Undisputed, right? So the third time that I meet him, or third time I go up to him, I'm like, Wayne, what's up, man? Thanks for getting up. He says, what's up, Martin? Happy to be here. And I was like, wait a minute. Because he had just hopped out the van, you know what I'm saying? I hadn't shook his hand or nothing like that. And we were kind of running late. So I was kind of like, you know, hurrying him as much as I could. But I was like, hold up. He know my name. And that was cool.
Okay.
That was cool. Because it was like, wait a second. Like, I'm not friends with Lil Wayne or nothing like that. But he for sure just called me by my name and it was the right name. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, and people who are in that position of, there are certain people who walk around and have a bunch of people following them like all the time. They don't need to know your name. And the people who take the time out to know it, I feel like I should compliment that or say something about that, because there's tons and tons and tons of people who do not. In terms of favorite athlete, I mean, Shannon's my guy. I consider Shannon a friend. And I would say I have a lot of former athletes who are now like in that friend zone, but like, okay, to like check off the box for the kid, meeting Michael Vick and like getting to know Michael Vick and knowing that Michael Vick is like cool as hell. That was also cool as hell. I was like, okay. Like Mike Vick, you know, it's just one of those, like me and my dad, I remember the Virginia Tech Sugar Bowl game where he went off. I remember when Tebow broke his record being mad about it. Because Tebow broke his record. They're playing Cincinnati in this game like 55-13. And the thing was, with Virginia Tech, Mike Vick every yard, every point, everything that he got, they needed it to win that game. And they still lost, I believe, to Florida State, because Florida State was just like the juggernaut. Man, I remember watching that game with my dad. I was watching the game where he ran in Minnesota playoffs 2003. Juke Band had two linebackers run into each other. I remember that like it was yesterday. So, and two, I was a Saints fan, so he used to go nuts all over this. You know? So that was very cool. Like, but at this point now, I don't get too stars. My mother, like when Michael Jordan retired, my mother like deaded all that shit. She was like, why are you sad? She was like, you can't be sad because he's retired. He didn't die. You know what I mean? He's like, what are you sad for? Right. I was like, you're my role model. He's not your role model. Your role model are people that you know. And she was harsh about it at the time, but it really informed the way I look at like it was wild to me to be in college and look over and see like the kid next to me, screensaver would be Denard Robinson.
Yeah.
Like what? You know, like he's right over there. Like,
that happens so often. That's why I'm laughing so hard. Like it was just crazy. But like like number one, being in the Black community, and also like me personally, just actually getting to know him during college and like knowing him. And that's the homie. Like he just, he is who he is. Like people was like that with William Campbell. I went to high school with him. So it's like I actually know him. Like, and then it's funny because like you said, you sit next to these kids, they got them as their screensavers. Like it's hilarious. So yeah, I feel you on that.
So the hero worship for me kind of died very early. I'm glad it did though. Like
I see. Mom
forms like
she kept
I
it a
got
buck with you.
I got to Michigan, I was like, you know, y'all ain't shit. You know? And then too, like being Greek, they kind of pit you like you kind of all running for the same girls, right?
Right.
So it's like you kind of get grouped in the same group. I'll never forget this. I told this to a girl who was actually now married to a Michigan football player, ironically enough. So maybe it didn't, I guess it didn't work. But it was like, he came here to go play football. I came here because I got in. He ended up going to play professionally though, so I guess it worked out for the both of us.
Shout out to them. Oh man. All right. So look, sports question for you. Only one team, no matter, it don't matter the sport, you get the opportunity in the front office, as a player, coach, whatever you want to call it. You get the opportunity to win the championship with one team. What team you picking?
Honestly, it wouldn't matter. I was going to win a Super Bowl, but it wouldn't. I don't really. Winning a Super Bowl is so hard. Like it's so hard. There's so many things have to go right for you to win a Super Bowl that I just like. I would like to be a part of a Super Bowl winning organization. Like that would be dope. And like, but it wouldn't. It'd be great to be. What I came to find out covering sports is that like, I grew up a big fan of the Saints, and I still am a fan of the Saints. I want them to do well. Fan of Michigan football, Michigan basketball. But like when you cover it day in, day out, you lose a lot of that like I knew the Saints weren't winning the Super Bowl this year. Like, why? Because I'm watching the games. You know what I'm saying? Like, so like, and being in this position of like, producing commentary or doing commentary myself, kind of has to take a step back. Like I've been saying Drew Brees couldn't get it done for the last 3 years. I didn't want it to be true.
Yeah, but
there's a lot of stuff I don't want to be true that I don't have no control over.
Right.
But like, it was so you know what? To put a pin in your question, a Michigan national title. And I want like that to in football, because the reality situation is I don't it may never happen.
Yeah, and that's a separate sermon for another service. So I'm not even gonna touch that one, but I would want that too. All right, so you get 5 dinner guests, dead or alive. Who you inviting to dinner?
5 dinner guests, dead or alive. I feel like you're supposed to have like, I would invite Gandhi, Mother Teresa.
No, don't invite Gandhi.
But you know what I'm saying? Like I'm supposed to like invite the Pope and the president. Oh, not well, actually not no more than the president, but like, let me think. Who would I?
And they don't have to be famous. They don't have to be well known. It could be anybody you want.
I would want. Damn, this is. I hate it when people say this is a good question when they don't have the answer right on the tip of their tongue. That's always, that's a good question. Was it a good question? Like I've heard the 5 dinner guest question before. I'm just not prepared for it. I would say, I know this. I would have really no interest in dinner with Jay-Z.
Okay.
I would want to have dinner with Beyonce. And not because not because any impropriety,
Right.
but she has managed to stay relevant, and she don't do nothing. She don't post on Instagram. If you look at everybody else, like you name me the other person besides maybe Rihanna, right? And Rihanna posts on Instagram, but it's all about, when's the album? She's like, yo, I'm not making music, bro. You know what I'm saying? That's pretty much. But like, I would want to know how Beyonce figured that out, because Jay-Z at this point just riding her coattails. I just think that's always funny to see people talk about, would you want dinner with Jay-Z? I'm like, for what?
And I think and B got way more personality than him. Like I think he's a dope mind and like brilliant in the stuff that he does. But I think that she is a much, like if you're gonna sit down and have dinner and food and drinks with somebody, you probably would choose, like you said, you want to have dinner with Beyonce over Jay-Z. That's just gonna be a much more entertaining time.
All right, so right now, 2021, who do I want to have dinner with?
So you got four more people.
All right, so Beyonce, Megan Thee Stallion, because she going places. I'm trying to know who she is. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I'm trying to be in her phone book. Like that's all. I just want to. She going places. DeLorean put me on Megan Thee Stallion like 2.5 years ago. Tina, no, I had no idea who is. I can't keep up with that stuff anymore, man. It's too much. It's too much sports.
Mm-hmm.
I tell you what. Nah, I wouldn't want to do that. I was about to say, honorable mention would be I would have wanted to be in a room during that movie One Night in Miami. You seen that movie?
Yes, loved it.
I would have wanted to be in the room, but I'll be honest. I look back at times like that on TV. They just don't look fun for black folks. Like
No.
I'm glad to be where we are. I would, you know what? I would want to talk with this all had to be at the same dinner party.
All same dinner party. Everybody
Oh,
pulling up.
all right. But in that case, I would say LeBron, but I don't want Beyonce and LeBron to get confused. You know what I'm saying? We here from you know. I would want Michael Jordan, honestly. And that's not because I would just need to know just because the way people talk about Mike is different. Like they talk about Mike the person, like he's not even there. It's like, what does that even mean? And yeah, so give me Mike, Beyonce, Megan Thee Stallion, and Chloe Bailey. All right.
Hey, look. All right. So look,
Or she busy Barack Obama.
no, listen, Chloe, come. I'm gonna be your fifth dinner guest. All right. I'm just letting you know. I'm five.
They need to leave that girl alone on the internet, man. She just having fun.
That's it.
I ain't gonna hold you. First time I saw her online, I was like, wait, who, and I was like, wait, these are the little girls that was singing at Obama's inauguration? Oh my Lord. But that's a me thing.
Same ones.
That's a me thing. That's not for them. They grew up. I didn't. You know what I'm saying? Like they grew, so I just, I'm glad to see them doing their thing and great, but it's just like, she's the hot topic on the internet right now. Chloe Bailey,
for sure.
Make a TikTok.
Let me ask you this. So outside of the normal stuff that you listen to, what's your favorite off-brand song? Like nobody would expect you to like this song as much as you do. What song is that?
Oh man. I generally listen to off-brand stuff, ironically enough.
Okay.
I've come to find that like at 31, I listened to mad stuff I was listening to when I was a teenager. And I was one of those like, I don't know. I've met a couple people in Detroit that were like that, but I was one of those angsty teens. I listened to a lot of rock music as well as rap. But all right. What's the name of this damn song actually? Yesterday I listened to this song 7 times. I can't think of I had to look up the name, it just got stuck in my head. It's by James Taylor. You've heard it before. Fire and Rain. Like, oh, I've seen fire and I've seen rain. You seen it.
I probably heard it before.
No, I ain't gonna do. I ain't gonna do that. You seen you? Matter of fact, what's that? Remember the Titans?
Yeah.
No, I ain't gonna have you do me like this. You know this song.
Jesus, you gotta help me make a stand.
You know what I'm talking about?
Okay, that's solid. That's solid. That's
Nah.
solid.
Yeah. It's the chorus.
I remember this from you said it was on Remember the Titans, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely remember it now.
So what'll end up happening is I'll be walking around the apartment and I'll just bust out seeing sunny days that I thought would never end. And then by the next 30 minutes, I'm Googling the song and it's just boom, boom, boom. Another good song is I Miss You by Blink-182.
Okay. I don't think I ever heard that, but I got to listen to it to know what you're talking about.
Blink-182 is I like Blink-182.
Okay. Shout out to the well, I mean, it's on brand for you because you say you listen to that type of music, but shout out to the off-brand selections. So because you from New Orleans, what do you love about your hometown? I know you ain't actually, lived there in a while. You've been everywhere, but what do you love about your hometown?
It's probably in the foundation of the way the city was started, first being taken over by, I believe, the Spanish and then the French, or the French then the Spanish, some combination like that. But the city outdates the United States by like some years.
Yeah.
Like the high school that I went to is older than the United States, I believe.
Damn.
But like, so the thing about it is, it's like first you have the people. It's a tourist town at heart. So like everybody is kind of built into being nice because you want people to come back. People from Louisiana generally eat too much, talk too much, and drink too much. And I think I probably qualify for all three. It's like we live kind of big.
Okay.
Like right now it should be Mardi Gras. Like,
right.
That's an informed, and that's like I almost feel like it's all you need to know. Like it's Mardi Gras, and it's a city like Mardi Gras growing up was my favorite holiday. Like people don't understand Mardi Gras is a family holiday. I was going to Mardi Gras as a kid. And you have those holidays and they span, you have different festivals every weekend in New Orleans. There's always something to do. There's always an opportunity to go and hang out. There's everywhere has good food, because if a place doesn't have good food, it won't be in business no more.
Right. That's dope, man.
That was my biggest adjustment leaving Louisiana and going to other places is eating out and eating just average food.
I feel the same way about not being in Detroit or in Michigan. I feel like we got that's one thing that's underrated about, especially Detroit. Like I feel like the food is underrated. You might have a different opinion because you came from New Orleans to Detroit, but like I just feel like everywhere else the food it's just regular. But I feel like the food back home it hit different.
I think it is different for you. I'm not trying to come at Michigan, but I'll say this: like, don't get me wrong, you can have good food anywhere.
Right.
Like, it's the idea. All right, so like, I get it. Like Coney Island slaps, right? But like, I'm not sitting there calling it good food, right? Like Coney Island is not good food in the way that, you know what I'm saying? Like it's. But like Coney Island is the pervasive restaurant in Southeast Michigan. So herein lies my dilemma. Where do you want me to go? I will say this. I never really ate Middle Eastern food until moving to Michigan and came to enjoy it.
Fire.
Like Yeah, falafel or Joe chicken shawarma or something like that. I'm not gonna eat that in Louisiana.
Right.
That is something there's my Michigan food compliment.
Okay.
Middle East food, y'all got that.
I'll take that. We'll take that. Give me a quote. What's your favorite quote or a quote that you like?
One that's sticking in my head right now is happiness is an inside job.
Mm.
I think I saw it in somebody's Twitter bio and I wrote it down. It's like on my bathroom mirror. Yeah, happiness is an inside job.
Dope. Twitter and Instagram, my random sources of inspiration when I see like those random quotes or random memes. I get a lot of advice from memes. So I always like to certain memes, I should say. So I like to ask people like what quotes do they like and stuff like that. So that's Freestyle Friday, man. You did great. I didn't think that you would do bad at all. So past Freestyle Friday. And if I can, a few more questions I wanted to ask, just in regards to business and your experience as a whole. The one that I definitely want to ask, make sure I ask every guest this is to, throughout your journey, your professional journey and figuring out what it was that you want to do and now actually doing it. Could you give us like what you feel like might've been your best experience? And then also on the other side of the coin, what might have been your worst experience, just to always give people an idea, like, like everything isn't perfect, it won't be perfect, but can you, talk about those two sides of the coin?
I don't know if it's really, I don't really have like, for me, like best and worst, I hate to be this guy, but I don't really quantify things in that way.
Okay.
Things happen.
Mm-hmm.
And then what do you do, right? Like if you had, like, to me, I'm very fortunate that the radio station that I was working at wasn't giving me more opportunities. At the time, I didn't feel that way.
Right.
But, 5 years later, had they given me more opportunities, the guys who got more opportunities than me now are no longer in radio. They have started their own business.
Yeah.
Actually joined into business together, weirdly enough. But stands to reason that I would have been furloughed during COVID-19. Like, so was that good? Was that bad? I don't know. And that same place that wasn't giving me like on-air opportunities in the way that I felt I should be getting, they allowed me the opportunity to go to Tiger Stadium or Comerica Park the day that and I met Rob Parker, but without that press pass, I would have never been in the room to then meet Rob, to then gain that mentor. Mm-hmm. So like, my college girlfriend told me this, and it's always stuck with me. She said it was in relation to my job at the radio station. I was making like $10, $12 an hour. Like I wasn't, 24 hours a week. I got a college degree. Like I could be doing a lot more with what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And she told me, it's like, whenever you get to a point where they're using you more than you using them, it's time to start to think about leaving. Like that's when that happens. And it's not like, hey, like I was in there doing my job. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I was in there doing my job, like the same way I'm in here right now doing my job, right? But like, eventually there's going to be a point where I'm going to need to break and grow. And like, that's a good way to measure it. Is like, does this need me more than I need it? And not necessarily like think about like the money aspect of it, you know what I'm saying? But like, is this really what I'm trying to do? Mm-hmm. So that was one good thing she left me.
For sure. And that's very insightful. So appreciate you being able to share that. One thing that I know just from, I don't have the extensive sports and media resume that you have, but from my small times working with sports organizations or doing media stuff and things like that, it's not easy. It's not something easy to do or to break into. can you kind of give people cheat codes as to what you may feel are cheat codes or keys to being able to break into that industry and excel within that industry when it comes to sports media or both?
I think first, do what you want to be doing. Like a lot of people will be like, "Oh, I'm trying to get my foot in the door so then I can go do this and go do that." And it's like, that's cool, man. Like you can have your foot in the door, but like at the reality of the situation in this business, like producers are generally hired to be producers. And oh my Lord, that was a tough foul. But in this business, producers are generally hired to be producers. And I'll put it like this: there's not too many people who are hired as hosts that come back and be producers, right? That it's not going that way. So if you want to be a host or something like that, like you need to get a microphone. You need to be sitting in the corner of your room, talking to the wall and practicing while you're going to your 9 to 5 producing somebody else. And the number one thing is for me, it's like for me, it's who you know and staying connected. And then when you do know that person, what do you have, right? So I tell the story not to name brag or not to name drop, but NBA All-Star Game was in LA 2019, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Black Panther year, whenever Black Panther came out. Big Oladipo did the dunk contest with Black Panther.
Yep.
Right. So it was big media day, right? And I'm there with Rob Parker and Chris Broussard, who I do a spot on their radio show. But being able to walk in there with them, I could walk in some different doors that I probably wouldn't just be able to walk in by myself. Long story short, I'm at the bar standing next to Katie Nolan. You know who that is?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm standing next to Katie Nolan, and I'm like legitimately have been a fan of her work. So like, this is a thing that I can, like, I'm not going to sit up here and lie to somebody, like, yo, love your work if I don't, right? But if I do, I'm going to say it. Like, I'm going to be genuine. I'm not going to be disingenuous. Like, that's just not how I operate. So we ended up talking me and her talked for like 2 hours at the bar. Mm-hmm. And she was like, what's your this, that? And so we connected, and she followed me on Twitter and clicked on my website that was in my Twitter. And my website, I hadn't paid the bill on it. It was an active. And I don't feel like I lost some great opportunity in that moment. Mm-hmm. Maybe I did. I mean, she still follows me on Twitter. I bet if I reached out, she might hit me back. She might not. Who knows, right? She's replied to my tweets before. We're not like friends, you know what I'm saying, by any stretch of the imagination. But like, what if sitting at the bar, she'll pull up one of my articles that was just on there and was like, yo, you got bars. Mm-hmm. In journalistic speak, right? That's a unique opportunity that I kind of squandered. So it's who you know, what can you show? And then, what I'm saying, and that generally will get you into the door. And then after that, it's up to you. Because you can know whoever, Mm-hmm. Like, I didn't necessarily I had an idea I was getting the job at Fox before I did, but I didn't get any favorable treatment after I got here. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Rob introduces, hey, we should look at this guy. And then once they brought me in, but it wasn't some big you know what I mean? It wasn't, yeah.
Right. It wasn't like, here's Martin, this your next VP. Go do what you do. Yeah.
Here's Martin. I think he'd be a valuable addition to the team. And then I had to go and
execute
a regular human and you know what I'm saying? Be normal but this is where I've been promoted 3 times since I worked at Fox.
Talk your shit. Your shit, bro.
I'm just telling it like it is.
Of course.
It is, but I like my job. My job likes me. So they pay me every 2 weeks. I'll keep going as long as that continues. So we have a good agreement.
That's what's up. I love to see it. So in the essence of Black Fridays, and why I like to be able to talk to different people who are doing their thing in their respective fields and in business in general, can you kind of talk to me about why it's important to support Black business. Because I know, with different ventures that you have had the opportunity work with a lot of different Black businesses in Detroit and then also in other areas. So could you kind of talk about like why you feel it's important to support those type of establishments?
I say, well, generally, I like to support my friends
Mhm.
in ventures, but then on a deeper level of like, not to be like, I don't necessarily think that like if you buy Black, then police officers will stop killing Black people.
Right.
Like,
Of course.
I don't think that. I'm not trying to make that assumption or make that or draw that direct corollary. But I think just a heavier investment into the Black community by each other is it's paramount. Like I think you see with other races as well, where they heavily invest in themselves and they try to keep their dollars in their own race. Um, and I think that it's for the things that we're trying to achieve as a people. I think that it's necessary to have like high level of competition for multiple different types of businesses, right? And I think that one of the bigger problems that we have now is that like people will say, I'm not going there almost because it is a Black business,
Yeah.
which to me sounds crazy. Like, I think it's important to support the business that's going to be able to serve you the best, keeping in mind like everything else, right? Like, sure, like I may be able to go get this from Amazon, 2-day shipping, and it'll be this much, but like, what's the environmental impact on that? Like, I have an Amazon account, I use Amazon Prime. I'm not trying to be better than or anything like that. But if I know that there's a Black owned bookstore that I could get this book at for $10, or I could get this book off of Amazon for 12
Mhm.
or for 8, it's like, what's the value of that $2 to me? You know what I'm saying? Like that's generally how I contemplate those types of things. So like, but like I'll say like most of my, I hate to say it sounds so basic, but I like so many like Black owned company T-shirts and clothing and so on and so forth that like all of my art in the apartment is Black owned, was made by Black people.
Mhm.
But like I don't know how intentional that was. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know how it was like I'd set out to not get white people art. I,
Right.
in my environment, that's what I'm exposed to.
Right.
And so that's what I was like, yo, this is sweet. Who made this? Oh, okay, even better.
Got you. And so tell us, what can we expect next for you, man? What can we expect to see next out of Martin? Is there anything special that you're working on? You might be able to talk to us about anything that's coming up that you're excited. I know you work with a lot of proprietary stuff, so definitely don't share that. But anything that you can tell us, let us know what you got going on.
No, I don't have anything too much going on, too crazy. Watch Undisputed, 9:30 to 12 Eastern. It helps me pay my rent. Retweet us, even if you don't like us. You don't like Skip, that's cool. Um, nah, you know what? I was thinking about this randomly. So yeah, you called me, so here it goes. But no, the thing that I feel like people don't understand about guys like Skip or Stephen A, who I've met a few times, and Shannon, and I've met Kellerman too. But like the amount of work that goes in and the amount of like that is shit is hard to
Mhm.
get up and go every day and to watch everything. And the thing is, you can tell who, like, if you really are in it, you can tell who's really working. And Skip is like, so you can tell
No,
who's really.
no, I'm laughing because you could tell the difference. Like if you pay attention, you could tell the difference. It's somebody I got in mind in particular, and I'm like, why are they on TV? But go ahead with your point.
But so like, but like, guy like Skip, I disagree with Skip all the time.
Hmm.
But I'll be damned if Skip don't have X, Y, Z to bring up this is why he feels this way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it just really showed me like the value of hard work. Like these guys train for this. in a way that athletes train for their jobs. And I'm not trying to say it's like the 1-to-1, right?
Mhm.
But like they get up and they train and they have routines, and like that's something I'm taking with me going forward, wherever I go in my career. In that, like, you have to be serious about all of it to be able to get to that level.
Mhm.
They're like somebody like, why is Nick Wright on TV? It's like, no. Nick Wright's on TV because he's a grinder. You know what I'm saying? Because he's a grinder and he stayed up later, and like he may have gotten a chance, but the reason he's still on TV is because he's a grind. You know what I'm saying? Like that's and so like I think I guess to answer your question, what's next? Whatever I'm doing next, I'm gonna be doing it. Like,
There you go.
you know what I'm saying? Like I'm gonna be y'all. It's gonna be visible. You're gonna see me, and I'm gonna be really doing it.
That's what's up, bro. Can you tell us, give everybody your handles and where they can find you and how they can contact you if they got more questions, they want to, follow your journey. Where can we find you at?
Man, I keep it simple, man. I'm straight government, all social media, at Martin Weiss. If you find somebody on not Instagram or Twitter, it's not me. I don't do none of the rest of that. I don't even got Venmo. But hey, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and the Cash App. Martin Weiss. That's what I'm at. If you have any questions, right to the Cash App first. Nah, but just, if you have me something you want to ask me or whatever, you just add me on Twitter. I'll try to. My Twitter DMs have kind of gotten a little
crazy.
Yeah, man. Ever since I started giving out gambling picks, it's not necessarily crazy in the way that
Yeah.
It's not like, hey, dude. It's more like, bro, Pacers +9. I'm like, man, I don't give this stuff out for free. I already gave my pick for the day, the one that I got paid to do.
Right.
I suggest you play that one. But yeah, no, I don't, because I'm not. But that's probably something in that realm. Like I learned to gamble about 1.5 years ago, and never looked back. They say I don't. They'll be like, "Oh, you have a gambling problem." I said, "It's really only a problem when I start to lose."
Exactly.
Of the 3 games I'm gambling on right now, I'm losing 2 of them.
Up. Be like,
I mean, dude, I end up. I had to be creative on my taxes in 2021. I'll put it like that. I had to figure out. I'll tell you like that. My boy. Actually, I know him, Derek Irvin. He's in Colombia right now.
Of course, yeah.
Colombia, spending some of his gambling winnings because you can transfer it from Bitcoin to Colombian dollars. Texas.
Okay.
I might be booking a trip.
For sure. Make that happen, most definitely.
But if you, I should plug this though. If you're interested in knowing what I play, download the Action app. It's in the link is in my Twitter. And you see all the good days, the bad days, and everything. It's got all the action on the Action app. You can find me on there. It's a picture of me on there. So that would be great. Lucky trying to work there one day.
Dope, man. Hey, as I said earlier, bro, always good to catch up with you. Always good to, see the wonderful things that you're working on, bro. Like I said, remember you was in the trenches at Michigan, man, and it's beautiful to, see how you've been able to turn your passion into your profession. So definitely dope to keep watching from afar, my G, and appreciate you stepping into Black Fridays.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Thanks for having me.